Fellas, we have a major problem with the Nike Alphafly version 2. Something I've never experienced in a running shoe before that may hinder its ability to perform on race day. So, let's talk about it. So before we get into the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're already subscribed watching the content. Thanks so much, love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Strava for all sorts of updates for life, racing, all other sorts of things like that as well. So without further ado, I will leave the specs for the shoe here where it doesn't contrast with the whiteboard because the whiteboard will be used for this explanation as we kind of get into it. So most people already know that the Alphafly 2 has a couple of flaws in the shoe, and you know, despite some of the added weight, some of the additional features to the shoe, I was still trying to defend it despite, you know, let's make that clear, I'm not like sponsored by Nike by any sort of means. That's why I'm ready to like absolutely rib into this shoe for what happened to me over the weekend with it. But the point here is, like, I was trying to defend the shoe, but I think at a certain point when you start getting hurt while running in the shoe, then you have a problem. And I'm not talking like a stress reaction, a stress fracture, or like broken bones or anything like that. That has like issues to do more with like overtraining and other factors to consider. But when we're talking about design features of the shoe which start developing blisters in areas you've never had blisters before, I think it's time to start addressing them. So hopefully this won't be too long of a video, but I'll try to explain what was going on here. So I put this through what I attempted was a long run over the weekend. I was trying to do about 13 to 14 miles just to put myself at a half marathon pace, kind of keep it from a progression run of about 8:30 minutes per mile into, I think I was going to cap it at like 6:45, 6:40 minute pace, just because, you know, I didn't want to go too hard, keep that at like 60 to 70% max and whatnot. And it was all being done on a treadmill, mind you. So the striking was fairly consistent on the ground. And what I was experiencing over time, I guess the other caveat to add here was that I was using the Nike race day style sock that's associated with Nike. And it's usually like a sock that I've worn on race day with other shoes where it kind of goes up to a little bit past the ankle area. And it's not like a no-show sock. It's not like your standard kind of ankle sock in that sort of sense. Is a little bit taller, right? And I guess it just makes your calves look a little bit bigger, and it also kind of helps with blood flow and whatnot. But nevertheless, without getting into a tangent, the point here is that it's a thinner sock as well, and that's something that I've also noticed while putting it on with other shoes, that you have to lock the shoe down a little bit more to essentially get a better kind of sit with the shoe, right? A better lockdown, I suppose. What happened as a result is that if you can see this textile piece right here, this one here has a stitching on the top and also on the inside of the shoe that's holding the shoelaces here in the front. And it looks like it's got also, it's like a shoelaced pattern as well in this particular area. And what I noticed while I was running was this weird sensation of rubbing on the top of my little and what is it, like a ring finger toe, I guess, on my foot. So these two fingers, right? I'm experiencing some sort of rubbing, and I'm thinking it was this area right here. And I'm wondering, okay, something's going on. It's a little bit of rubbing. Maybe I can like move the foot around and I can kind of remediate whatever this issue is. But as the run continued, I realized that the sensation was getting a little bit more. It wasn't in much pain as it was just like getting a little bit more profound, I suppose. Like the sensation was just there. It was going longer and longer, and at some point, like during my run, I stopped at about 7.5 miles, and I said, okay, that's enough. I need to figure out what the heck is going on here. So I'm gonna post a picture of what this looks like. If you're not down with like weird, I guess, blistery looking things, you can skip a few seconds ahead and maybe you can dodge this picture. But basically the picture here is essentially of my pinky toe with a blister on top. And what I can only imagine is going on, because I tried to feel this out in the shoe later, is that there is in fact a textile piece underneath this particular area, and it looks a little bit something like this, right? So let's see if I can keep this volume going. So like, if we're gonna look at the shoe from, I don't know, let's look at it from this kind of a perspective, right? If we have the shoe running this way, and you have your shoelaces here, you have your toe box here, you have like, you know, some of the foam and the rubber here, you have your toes right here, yeah? Weird version of your foot and toes, and like this is your box. You have your textile here, and what's happening is it looks like there's a textile piece that kind of caves in downwards like that, okay? And because it's caving downwards, this area starts rubbing against the toe in this back and forth motion, right? Because what's happening, because of the offset, you are experiencing more of that high heel sensation. So every time you strike the ground, your foot kicks forward, and then when you lift the foot back, you're pulling all the toes back into this heel area. So you're constantly rubbing this area every time you impact the ground. And what's happening here is, I think this piece right there, is this textile is kind of hanging off, and it's just such a small bit that's hanging off, but it's enough to start rubbing the foot in a way where even the sock can't really protect it. And now my thought usually with this, and like any other running shoe, is first of all, is this my fault that this is occurring? And I think at this point in time, considering all the elements, right? This is the Nike Race Day shoe, a shoe you should have like the utmost absolute privilege of running in every single day. Every time you tie it down, you should feel like a god, right? And you're wearing Nike brand race socks. The socks that, like, you know, you put those on as well, and you know it's like go time. You put these two in a combo. They look good together in a combo. They're branded together to be in a combo. And for some reason, you're developing blisters in this setup to the point where the pain prevents you from running correctly. I think it's a little bit beyond, you know, this being my fault. I think this is running into one of two faults. One, either a massive design flaw in the Alphafly 2 with this textile, or two, just a potential defect in this specific shoe that I bought. So, again, I try not to defend Nike as much as I do because I know the practice is still kind of, you know, odd, kind of shady in some areas with the product kind of losing some of its quality over time and its competitors getting better than the brand. And of course, like I said, I'm not sponsored by Nike, so I'm not trying to boast any of their products. I'm literally just like actually shitting on this shoe right now. But the point is, if there is a defect here, I want to prove it by being able to swap this shoe out for another Alphafly 2 model. And if I experience the same like sensations in that particular shoe, then we can conclude, I think, that the Alphafly 2 has a massive flaw with the current setup that they have of a race shoe, race sock combination. Is there a way to potentially mitigate this type of blistering? I would say yes. I am wearing currently much thicker socks than usual. I believe these are Balega brand socks, but again, they have more cushioning. They're kind of, this one in particular is branded as like a no-show sock, but I like running them all the time. I guess the point is like every time you run, you're supposed to have an ankle sock, but I have just like kind of a sock that exposes my ankle, and I run with it all the time. It's not a big deal. So I don't know. It just, I guess, to each their own when it comes to running socks, I suppose. But whenever I've run with this sock, I've never had blistering, like ever. So something with having a really thin sock that allows this textile to basically get real close to your foot and basically exposing it to the elements of the, the insole insides is basically what's kind of causing this rubbing. And yeah, I've never had blistering on top of a toe before. It's really awkward in terms of how I feel it right now. It's still kind of like, you know how it feels like when you get like a blister, you pop it. It's kind of like sore, but it's not like broken or like painful. It's just like stings. I guess stinging is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, this is where we're at with about, I think, less than 30 miles on the Alphafly 2. I am exchanging this out for another Alphafly 2. I'm trying to get the one that I actually wanted, which was in red. And it turns out on stocks, I can get it a lot cheaper than what Nike is selling the Ekiden version for, the Ekiden version, I guess. So I'm swapping them out. I'm returning this. And if we're experiencing the same situation in that Alphafly 2, then I can only conclude that the Alphafly 2 has a major manufacturing flaw with this area of the textile that is preventing the shoe from actually performing or even being able to compete in the same weight class as the Alphafly 1 and like the Vaporfly Next Percent 1 and 2. So that's really what I want to make this video on before I return the shoe, is just some of my thoughts as to why I'm returning it. And yeah, I'm kind of a little pissy about this because I did like this shoe. I was ready to race with this in Houston. obviously with Houston, I got another video I need to make in terms of why that might not be happening. It's not race shoe related. There's some other things going on. But yeah, I am a little pissy because I wanted to race with this overall, and I guess it's just not going to happen. So yeah, if you've been experiencing something similar in terms of this upper, let me know in the comments below. Or if you've been experiencing other weird sensations in the shoe that you don't like that kind of puts it off your race day calendar. But yeah, I'm going to end the video here. So once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.